Good evening, friends. We've all experienced it, the quiet, persistent presence of someone in our minds, even though they're no longer in our daily lives. It's both beautiful and unsettling, isn't it, to feel so connected to someone that even in silence, they inhabit our thoughts and dreams. Today, I want us to explore what it truly means when someone is always on your mind, despite the absence of communication. Let's begin with vulnerability, a word that often makes us feel exposed, uncertain, and maybe even a little uncomfortable. But here's the truth: vulnerability is not a weakness, it's the truest measure of courage we have. When someone is always on your mind, even in their absence, it reveals something profoundly important about your willingness to feel deeply. And that willingness is where your power lies. You see, vulnerability is the birthplace of everything meaningful in our lives: love, belonging, creativity, and connection. To have someone occupy your thoughts, even without communication, means you've opened your heart to the fullness of human experience. You've allowed yourself to care, to hope, to dream, and maybe even to grieve. That's not a flaw, it's a reflection of your humanity. Think about this: when someone occupies your mind, it's because they've touched a part of you that's deeply personal, a part of you that craves connection. And isn't that what makes life so extraordinary? The fact that we're capable of creating bonds so profound that they linger even in the silence. That lingering is a testament to the fact that you were brave enough to open your heart in the first place. But vulnerability doesn't stop there. It's not just about feeling deeply, it's about what you do with those feelings. It's about sitting with the discomfort of unanswered questions, of moments that didn't go as planned, of love that didn't unfold the way you'd hoped. It's about resisting the urge to numb or distract yourself from those thoughts and instead choosing to face them head on. Here's what makes vulnerability so powerful: it's a bridge. It connects us to others, but more importantly, it connects us to ourselves. When you allow yourself to reflect on why someone is in your mind, you're doing the hard work of self-awareness. You're asking the tough questions: what do they mean to me? Why can't I let go? What is this teaching me about myself? This is where the magic happens. Vulnerability forces you to dig deep, to confront the truths about your desires, fears, and hopes. Maybe it's showing you the parts of yourself that you're still healing. Maybe it's highlighting your capacity to love fully, even when it feels one-sided. Or perhaps it's simply reminding you that connection is what gives life its meaning, even when that connection feels incomplete. But here's the thing: vulnerability is not just about staying open, it's about having the courage to move forward. To be vulnerable is to recognize that while this person might occupy your mind, your worth isn't tied to their presence or absence in your life. It's about realizing that your openness to love and connection is not a sign of weakness, but a profound strength. So the next time you find yourself thinking about them, take a moment to honor what it means. Honor the fact that you've been courageous enough to feel, to risk, and to care. But also remind yourself that vulnerability isn't just about keeping the door open for others, it's about keeping the door open for yourself. True vulnerability is knowing that while their presence in your mind is significant, your life, your growth, and your journey are just as significant. And that is the power of vulnerability. It doesn't just connect us to others, it transforms us into the most authentic, resilient versions of ourselves. Let's talk about absence and longing, a pair of emotions so intertwined that it's hard to separate where one ends and the other begins. When someone is on your mind without any communication, it often highlights a unique truth: their absence is not empty, it is alive with meaning. And that longing, that ache you feel in their absence, is an experience as old as humanity itself. Longing is one of the most powerful forces we can encounter. It's deeply tied to our capacity for love, our yearning for connection, and our desire for resolution. When we long for someone who is absent, it's often because their presence was significant enough to leave a mark that time and distance cannot easily erase. But here's what we need to understand: absence doesn't just create longing, it amplifies it. Think about how silence can often feel louder than words. The absence of communication creates a void, and the human heart instinctively rushes to fill that space. You find yourself replaying conversations, imagining scenarios, or holding onto a memory that feels incomplete. It's not just about missing the person, it's about missing what their presence meant to you. And this is where longing becomes so much more than just a feeling. It's a mirror that reflects back to us what we value most. Ask yourself, what am I truly longing for? Is it the person themselves, or is it the comfort, the safety, or the joy they once brought into your life? Sometimes we're not longing for a person at all, we're longing for the version of ourselves that existed when we were with them, the version that felt seen, loved, and understood. Longing can be bittersweet. On one hand, it reminds us of the depth of our ability to care for someone. On the other, it can trap us in a cycle of yearning for something we may never get back. And this is where we must tread carefully. The absence of communication can lead us to romanticize, to idealize, or even to rewrite history. In their absence, we might create a version of them or a version of the relationship that is more perfect, more loving, and more fulfilling than it ever actually was. Here's the truth: longing is not meant to be a destination, it's a process. It's meant to teach you something about yourself. Perhaps their absence is urging you to reflect on why this connection feels so unfinished. Is it because you need closure? Is it because there's something unresolved within you that needs attention? Or is it because this person represents a deeper longing, a longing for purpose, for belonging, or for something greater than yourself? And then there's the hard part: learning to live with longing. You may not get the resolution you crave, you may not get the answers you seek, but that doesn't mean longing is wasted. On the contrary, it's in the longing that we grow. It's in the ache that we learn to hold space for both love and loss, for both gratitude and grief. So when you find yourself missing someone in their absence, don't rush to fix it. Sit with it. Let the longing teach you what it needs to. Ask yourself what their absence is really saying about them, about you, and about the kind of connection you desire moving forward. Remember, longing is not a weakness. It's a sign of your heart's capacity to love deeply and fully. But it's also a reminder that while absence creates longing, it doesn't define you. You can honor what you've lost while still moving forward. You can miss them without losing yourself. Because at the end of the day, the connection between absence and longing isn't just about who they were, it's about who you're becoming. And that, my friends, is a story worth writing. Let's take a moment to explore the profound idea that memory is not just a recollection of the past, it's a mirror reflecting who we are in the present. When someone remains in your mind, even in their absence, it's often because their memory holds a deeper truth about you, your values, your desires, and your personal growth. Memories have a way of lingering, don't they? They surface in the quiet moments, uninvited yet persistent. They play like a film reel in your mind, repeating the laughter, the conversations, and even the silences you shared with that person. But here's the thing about memories: they are rarely just about the events themselves. Instead, they are deeply tied to the emotions, the lessons, and the transformations those moments evoked within you. When someone's memory refuses to fade, it's not necessarily because of who they are, it's often about what they represent. Maybe they remind you of a time when you felt most alive, most seen, or most loved. Perhaps they symbolize a season of growth or a turning point in your life. Or maybe their presence in your memory is holding up a mirror to something unresolved within you, an unhealed wound, a question left unanswered, or a dream left unfulfilled. And this is where memory becomes a powerful tool for self-reflection. When you find yourself revisiting moments with someone who is no longer in your life, ask yourself, what am I truly seeing in this memory? Are you seeing the person, or are you seeing the part of yourself that existed in their presence? Are you revisiting joy, or are you trying to make sense of pain? Memories, as mirrors, don't just show us the past, they reveal the present. They show us who we are now, shaped by those experiences. If you find yourself cherishing a memory, it might mean you're longing for more joy, connection, or purpose in your current life. If a memory brings pain, it might be calling you to address something within yourself that still needs healing. But here's the catch: mirrors don't always tell the full story. Memories, like reflections, can distort over time. We romanticize the good, minimize the bad, or create narratives that weren't entirely true. When someone lives in your memory, it's easy to hold onto an idealized version of them or an idealized version of the relationship. And while that's natural, it's important to ground yourself in the reality of what was, not just what you wish it had been. At the same time, we must remember that memories are not prisons. Just because someone occupies your thoughts doesn't mean you're stuck in the past. On the contrary, their memory might be there to guide you forward. It might be reminding you of the kind of love, connection, or respect you want in your life. It might be urging you to let go of something or someone that no longer serves you. The beauty of memory as a mirror is that it invites you to see yourself more clearly. It asks you to examine your patterns, your choices, and your growth. It challenges you to acknowledge both your strengths and your vulnerabilities. And it gives you the chance to decide how you want to move forward, armed with the lessons the past has taught you. So the next time a memory surfaces, don't push it away. Sit with it. Reflect on what it's showing you, not just about the person you're remembering, but about who you are right now. Let it be a tool for growth, not just nostalgia. Because memories, while rooted in the past, are ultimately about the present. They are not just reflections of what was, they are opportunities to shape what will be. And that is the true power of memory. It helps us see not just where we've been, but where we're going. There is a unique kind of weight carried by the things we do not say. Words left unspoken between two people can hold more power than 1,000 conversations ever could. Silence, though it seems empty, often brims with meaning, layers of emotion, intention, and longing that remain unexpressed. And when someone remains on your mind without communication, it is often the unspoken that keeps their presence alive within you. Unspoken words have a way of lingering. They can feel like unfinished sentences hanging in the air, waiting to be completed. Perhaps it was a confession left unsaid, an apology never uttered, or a vulnerability you didn't dare to express. Whatever it was, the absence of those words doesn't erase their significance. In fact, it amplifies it. What is unsaid becomes a kind of echo reverberating within you, seeking resolution, even in silence. This is because the unspoken often carries a deeper truth. When we withhold words, it's not just about fear or hesitation, it's about protecting something precious. Maybe we're protecting our pride, our sense of safety, or even the relationship itself. Maybe we believe that saying the words aloud would make them too real, too raw. Or perhaps we think silence is the better choice because words might fall short of conveying what we truly feel. But the irony is that silence has its own language, and it's just as powerful as spoken words. When we stop communicating with someone, we're still communicating something. Our silence becomes a message. It might say, I'm hurt, I'm afraid, or even, I care too much to risk rejection. And when someone is on your mind without any exchange of words, it's often because their silence and yours is speaking volumes. The unspoken also holds power because it leaves room for interpretation. Without clarity, our minds fill the gaps. We replay moments, analyze interactions, and assign meaning to things that may or may not be true. This act of interpretation can be both illuminating and misleading. On one hand, it forces us to confront our own feelings and assumptions. On the other, it can trap us in a cycle of overthinking, where the unspoken becomes a labyrinth of imagined meanings. And yet there is also beauty in the unspoken. It's in the way a glance can say what words cannot, or how a shared silence can hold more intimacy than a conversation ever could. Sometimes the unspoken is not about withholding, it's about trusting that the connection is strong enough to exist without constant affirmation. It's about knowing that some truths don't need to be said out loud to be felt deeply. At the same time, the unspoken holds power because it carries potential. What hasn't been said leaves the door open for what could be said. It creates a space where possibility lingers, where conversations that never happen still feel within reach. This potential can be both a comfort and a torment, depending on how you choose to engage with it. The unspoken also challenges us to examine our own boundaries and fears. Why do we hold back? What are we afraid of revealing or risking? Often the power of the unspoken lies not just in the words we didn't say to someone else, but in the truths we haven't admitted to ourselves. It's about facing the parts of us that we've kept hidden, even from our own hearts. And so the unspoken becomes a mirror of its own, a reflection of what we value, what we fear, and what we're willing to fight for. It is a reminder that words, while powerful, are not the only means of connection. Silence, too, has a voice. The unspoken is not empty. It is full of meaning, emotion, and potential waiting to be uncovered. There is a paradoxical truth about human connection sometimes. We have to let go of someone physically, emotionally, or even mentally, while still holding on to the essence of what they meant to us. This delicate dance of letting go while holding on is one of the most profound emotional challenges we face. It's a process that asks us to navigate the tension between acceptance and attachment, between release and remembrance. Letting go doesn't mean forgetting. It doesn't mean erasing someone's impact on your life or diminishing the role they played in shaping who you are. Letting go is about acknowledging that their chapter in your story has come to a close, at least in its current form. But even as you turn the page, their imprint remains. It lingers in your memories, your habits, and the subtle ways they've influenced your perspective. Holding on the other hand, is not the same as clinging. It's not about resisting change or refusing to move forward. Holding on can be a quiet act of reverence, a way of honoring what was while still making space for what could be. It's about cherishing the lessons, the joy, and even the pain that someone brought into your life. These are the things that stay with you, no matter how far you move from the relationship itself. But this process is rarely simple. Letting go while holding on often feels like an emotional tightrope walk. You might find yourself yearning for the comfort of what was, even as you know deep down that it's no longer healthy or sustainable. You might hold on to hope for reconciliation, even as reality pulls you toward acceptance. This tension can be exhausting, but it is also deeply human. Part of the challenge lies in the fact that our minds and hearts don't always move at the same pace. Intellectually, you may understand that letting go is necessary, that the relationship no longer serves you, or that the other person has moved on. But emotionally, you might still feel tied to them, as though a part of your soul refuses to release its grip. This disconnect can create a sense of inner conflict, a push and pull between what you know and what you feel. And then there's the question of what it is you're really holding on to. Is it the person themselves or the version of them that existed in your mind? Is it the relationship or the dream of what the relationship could have been? Often we find that what we're clinging to is not the reality, but the potential, the unfulfilled promises, the possibilities that never came to fruition. Letting go means coming to terms with this truth and finding peace in what was rather than what could have been. At the same time, letting go doesn't mean shutting the door completely. It's possible to release someone from your present life while still carrying them in your heart. Their impact on you doesn't disappear, it becomes part of your story, woven into the fabric of who you are. You can let go of the need for their presence while holding on to the gratitude for the moments you shared. This process is also about reclaiming your own energy. When someone occupies so much space in your mind and heart, it can feel as though they have a hold on you, even from afar. Letting go allows you to reclaim that energy, to redirect it towards your own healing, growth, and future. It's not about denying their significance, it's about recognizing that you deserve to be free to write the next chapter of your life. But letting go while holding on also requires a deep level of self-compassion. It's easy to judge yourself for not moving on fast enough, for still thinking about them, or for struggling to find closure. Yet, this process is not linear. It's not something you can rush or force. It unfolds in its own time, shaped by the unique contours of your relationship and your emotions. And ultimately, letting go while holding on is an act of balance. It's about allowing yourself to grieve what's been lost while celebrating what remains. It's about finding the courage to release what no longer serves you, even as you hold on to the love, the memories, and the lessons that will always be a part of you. It's about embracing the paradox, trusting that you can let go without losing the essence of what truly mattered. In the end, when someone remains in your mind without communication, it speaks to the deeper layers of connection, emotion, and unresolved truths that continue to shape you. The unspoken, the memories, and the delicate dance of letting go while holding on all reveal the complexity of our emotional landscapes. It's not about forcing closure or rushing the healing process, but about honoring the